So how are you doing?
I am doing awesome. How about yourself?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right. So you have a fight coming up July 24th, correct?
Yeah, that's that I do. Basically, the holiday of all holidays. People don't know about it. They know because I'm fighting. Boom.
And you're opening for somebody really important, right?
Oh, of course. I know a lot of people think it's somebody else, but I'm opening up for Dante Wilder, okay, and freaking the Gypsy, king of boxing, or one of the people. But my money's on Dante on this fight. But yeah,
I
that's
was,
what we.
I was gonna ask. So, what do you think of that whole thing? Because just to take a total detour, we'll talk boxing for a minute. What do you think about all of that? The arbitrator saying you have to fight. Like, what if that happened in MMA? That's crazy. I can't imagine that happening in MMA.
Well, to be honest, they actually do it. It's just that no one really ends up seeing much of it because, like, majority of the MMA life, like, say, for instance, Connor, when he had the 45 belt, they said you either got to let the belt go or you have to fight. So it was one of those. And actually, it wasn't 45. I think it was 45 or 55. It's one of the two. But he had the choice of fighting or fighting Floyd Mayweather,
Hmm.
and they taken that tour. But since he did that, they took the belt. So it was like one of those you have to fight, but they end up making a random detour to something else, but it actually opened up a lot of things. So I think it was a smart move on his hand, and that's why he is the man who he is today. So,
Right.
but I actually prefer that. It keeps everybody busy, you know.
So, how would you feel if somebody came in and said, like, somebody outside of MMA, let's say somebody in the commission came up and was like, you have to fight so and so, like, that's it, you just have to fight them. How would you feel about that?
Right there, I would. It becomes like a flip a coin. For me personally, if matter of fact, it happened. It'll probably determine as in what's on the table type thing. Like, because one, they wouldn't even hit me with. I would have to because I would already been down to fight them because my mindset is to fight everybody. Period. If you're claiming you're the best, or if I'm the champion and basically one of the contenders that I already beat asked to fight me, or they end up trying to say, "Hey, you're forced to fight this person." Granted, that I already ended up beating them. Ends up determined as in, do I really have to fight them, or could I just easily move up? Like it's like everything kind of places on the table because the whole Dante versus with Fury, they signed a contract on. Hey, I'm supposed to have that rematch, and I ended up opening up the door for you to have the rematch. So their situation's a bit different, where I kind of sided on, or not kind of, but I actually sided on Dante with that one because it's one of those situations like, hey, the whole agreement was after if you beat me, I get a rematch. If I beat you, I gave you the rematch. So it's like little small things like that. But for
Right.
me, they probably wouldn't even have that hit me with that. You had to fight because I already took the fight, or three. It more likely be on the terms of what weight class if I want to go because I'm actually about to start bouncing from 45 to 35. You know, for this whole next season for me.
That's what I was going to ask too. So this next fight is at bantamweight.
Yeah, this next one is at bantamweight. So uh Julio, he's coming back down for the first time in his career, I believe. So, or in the UFC, I believe. So, I'm going to be his debut at 35 for the UFC.
So what can you tell me about him? Because obviously, is it difficult for you to now, like you said, he's coming down, so you're going to see potentially a totally different kind of fighter. What have you noticed about him, and what are you kind of expecting?
So this is the crazy part about it. Only thing I do know is that he was a Golden Glove guy, and that he lost to Brian uh, Keller. He lost to him twice before he came to UFC, and he beat Dan Ige. So that's the most information I got. But my team, they're the one that's doing all the homework because, like I said, for my last loss, I ended up taking from that is that I got to start making people fight my fight at the end of the day. Because, I've been like nothing but preparing for like wrestlers and all this other stuff because everybody that ends up fighting me turn into wrestlers and everything. So it's like wrestling mind base and all this other stuff. And the last fight I actually turned into a jits person, and that's like my I would say basically it would be my C game out of my fight, out of of how I approach fights. So that's my C game, and I actually brought my C game to be my A game, and everything kind of like unfolded. But in reality, I'm a striker. So in reality, if me and him go at it, that's how I'm going to end up placing it. So I'm not doing my homework on it. They're going to do the homework, and I'm only going to implant what game plan that we're that basically working on, and that's me doing me with a smile.
So what's the reason for flip-flopping between the two divisions?
Because the fact is that at 35, a lot of people been saying no to me, like, and I am the type of person that likes to be busy, and that's just me being real. Like, you put me on ice, I got to figure out other ways to stay active. So, like, most of my fights, like, if it ends up looking sluggish or Andre looks a little bit off, it's the fact is that it's a long period of me not being active. I'm a fighter. Like, for me to get to here, I'm probably one of the fastest people that ever made it to the UFC on the other route. Like, I just started MMA in 2016, and I jumped in the whole UFC in 2018. So short route for me, but it was because I was active. I fought one year. I fought 7 times. So, and I'm okay with that. I like fighting 7 times. 7 times out of the year, that means every other month or every month, or it's one of the back-to-back type of movement for me.
So if you start fighting and you're going back and forth and you start seeing that there's a wins coming in one division more than the other, will you kind of kick that plan out and stick in that one division?
Definitely will happen that way. But as of right now, bantamweight, I am 4-2. No matter how you flip the coin, I'm 4-2. Catch weight, I'm 0-1. So obviously, I got to at least get 2 to 3 more catch weights so I can like even out that ratio, or make me look a lot better when it comes to the word catch weight. But when it ends up me playing with that 45, I already know that I'm gonna definitely doing great. Just fact is that I don't have to kind of approach the game differently, as in stamina wise, the whole 9, because everybody knows that 35, I'm a big guy. Like, no matter how you flip that, I'm a big guy. So they kind of figure that my stamina base or cardio should be on the decrease, but actually it's really not. But it's just how everybody looks and approaches, or how they end up viewing my game. But normally I have the mindset of finishing the fight in the beginning, treat every round like the first round. That's always how it was and been. And you can see when I tweaked it, but I'm going back to that, and that's just how it is,
What do you think about the fact that the UFC doesn't do a lot of catch weight? Do you think that they need to kind of up that catch weight game a little bit there?
That I can, but at the end of the day, we can go ahead and say it puts people down on the lazy end. And, and they don't want no one being lazy. It's supposed to be professional and stuff like that. Catch weight is one of those things if your opponent changes, at the last minute. That's where it should be a catch weight. Or the moment that, this person is not really great at cutting weight, that, that catch weight should be, added on, but it should be noted like a week out. Like, hey, I'm not going to make it, and I don't want, I can give you the 20%, but let's make the fight at this, this way, because I ain't gonna make that way. I feel like it should be something or into that. I think they should approach that in that type of game, where it's a week out, they know they're not going to make it, they hold the conversation, etc. Because I know they've been trying to make it a lot safer for people to start cutting weight, and the hydration and rehydration type of ordeal, but they shouldn't be holding the conversations where one person is not killing themselves while the other one comes overweight. And, because some people will end up burning that 20%, not minding the 20%, because they might have had an investment into like AMC, and boom, they're making money. And then it's like, hey, we can go ahead and forget about that 20 or, that 20% because we made it on the back end. So, some people might end up cheating that way, who knows?
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you think that there are fighters that do that, like, more than we realize? Because I do see, I'm at weigh-ins every week, and I see a lot of fighters missing weight. And sometimes I feel like, there's one thing when the guy comes in and can hardly stand up, you're like, okay, you tried. And then there's another time when someone like Mike Perry comes in and he's like doing, I don't know what that's called. I'm not cool, whatever that.
Bogan?
No, yeah, thank you. My son will hate me. He loves that. And then missing weight, and you're like, did you try? I don't know. Do you feel like there's fighters that do that on purpose?
I'm gonna throw it just like this, because I don't want to end up speaking for everybody, but I do feel like there's windows. My debut for the UFC, it was with Hennon Brown. Nothing but respect to him and everything. But do I feel like did he really try? No. Or correction, I felt like he tried. He knew he wasn't going to make it, so he went in the direction of let me play my cards right, and I'll still get a fight. And the cards right was one, my debut. Two, I flew basically 8 hours to get there. Three, since I'm already out there and already did all the weight cutting and everything that you could possibly think of to be there, that would I turn down a fight, especially if I'm about to get 30%? Mm-hmm. No. You play your cards right. I'm in your hometown. This is your basically that chance of, are you gonna, if I lose, I get kicked out. So you want to do everything where you have the advantage, like, you know. But I do believe that he did partially try. Granted that I pulled up and he's at the buffet, chowing down, and the day before chowing down, and then pretending like he wasn't making weight as he's on the elevator. But at the end of the day, you play the cards right. It's a big fight for me, and which we all know that was a big fight for me. It was my biggest fight, and it's my debut with a legend. So it's one of those, will I turn it down or not? Granted, they know I didn't, and it was me gambling with everything, and my gamble came out pretty nice, and I ended up winning. And I say, if he did cut the weight, he would have been knocked out. But since he didn't, or he didn't cut the weight, his weight is what saved him in that fight, which everybody knows and he knows. But so I'm gonna go ahead and say it's 50-50 with everything, and I don't want to sit there and say much, but I do know that when you have fighters out there that do try, because they have to keep it professional, they have to. But if you start adding and start breaking things down, you'll start understanding. Some people might just figure it out like, hey, I can actually do it, figure out that they can't do it, and then they just say, hey, it's time to move up, and then there you go. Right. Yeah, I know I'm eventually get to that point. I'm gonna have to end up moving up, where I'm not gonna make 35, but I know that I have well over 10 more fights at 35, and that's enough time to get me to the title, or get me there and fight all the big names, and that's including Dominic Cruz and Uriah Faber, which I also am going to be calling them out in my next fight. But obviously, I'm gonna get my job done first.
So you mentioned the 135 title. There's a lot going on up there right now. I'm curious what you think of the fact that Aljamain has the title. What do you think is going to happen in that rematch? Do you think that rematch will happen? Do you think that there'll be something that happens where that doesn't? And do you think there should be an interim title in the meantime?
I definitely do feel like there should be an intern. I feel like there should be one for everything, for everyone, so that just automatically solidified where that person guarantees the fight. Because at 55 right now, they used to have the belt. I don't know what happened to it, but it's like a brand. It's actually pretty crazy that you think that Justin Gaethje would have had the title shot, right? Because he was number one. He was the last one that fought for the belt, or at least him versus Poirier for the belt. It would have made sense, But their mindset was, Oliveira. Was Oliveira?
Yeah.
I feel like I butchered his name right now. But yeah, him. But Oliveira, it would have been nice if it was Justin versus Oliveira. That would have made sense. Not Chandler. Chandler could have been the next fight. He could have one more fight, then followed up. But the rankings are made for something. But these rankings don't mean nothing. But if you had an intern title, it would make sense. But again, think about how long Covington had his intern belt. Mm-hmm. And he never really got the chance. And then when he finally got the chance, I don't want to say he vanished, but he kind of went into the back end where he has to talk a lot to get back where he is. And now it's like he should be getting another title fight, or if it's not him, somebody else, and then follow up. But however I end up looking at it, ends up making sense. So for 35, I feel like it should have that. So now it doesn't mix it up, because one thing about it is Sterling should have had a title shot a long time ago, and it should have been way before from Yan. Before Yan ended up fighting for it. Because think about it, he beat Uriah Faber. After he beat him, he's fighting for the belt. Mind blowing, right? And Sterling's last loss was against Morales. Yeah.
Okay.
Or yeah. Right.
Morales.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that was his last loss, and he'd been on like a winning streak that should have brought him to the title. He even skunked Corey in the first round. And granted, like if it didn't happen that way, it would have been more interesting. And because Corey is like that was actually a good fight, or it could have been a good fight potential, but he ended up cutting it short where no one was able to end up seeing it because he took him down, took his back, finished the fight. No one can end up seeing the potential of what it could have been. But him versus Yam, Sterling definitely deserved the belt. Just the fact is, in one, he did a legal blow. No matter how you end up looking at it, it's illegal, and by fault, the rules is rules. We all know that. We get the speech from the referee, let you know in the back beforehand, and he let him know before he threw the knee. Hey, he intentionally did it. That's what happened. So now, for him to get the rematch, definitely feel like he should have the rematch because he was winning the fight, no matter how you look at it. Or my apologies. My opinion, I felt that Sterling won 2 rounds. And I know a lot of people are going to end up butchering me on this, but I felt like Sterling won 2 rounds. That's including the first round with the knockdown, because even though he knocked him down, Yan didn't jump on board or did anything extra to actually say, hey, I won this round. Yeah, you knocked him down, but that's one punch between everything else that he was doing to him. It's like I have a progress of a 95, and this dude comes in and just answers one question and he walks out the room. That's how I looked at it. Like, oh yeah, he got that answer right, but dude was over here killing everything else and he got a 95. So that's how I look at it. So it's 2 to 1. After that, before that legal, he was about to win it. It was going to even up the rounds, where it was going to be 2-2, and it was going to come down to the 5th round. But we didn't get to see the 5th round because of that. So in my eyes, Sterling definitely deserved the belt.
And you wanted to, or you were actually going to fight Cody Stamann, and then COVID and all that stuff happened. Do you still want to fight him even after the loss to Merab? Is that still like somebody you think could put you on the map higher than you already are?
Oh yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day, between Cody, Dominic Cruz, and Uriah Faber, out of the 3 names, I'm gonna definitely go with the other 2. But we already know that me and Cody are going to fight. It's one of those things I don't have to end up calling it out because we already ran our mouth. He ran his mouth. I ran mine. Nothing. We still have respect. It's automatically one of those things because we're fighters. But at the end of the day, it's a fight that has to happen. Just like me versus a rematch with Chito right now. It doesn't make sense at the moment because I'm not in the rankings. But as soon as I get ranked, they'll try to push me versus Chito in the future. It's one of those things that will end up have to happen. Just like when I get ranked, like they're going to have to make the Chris thing. Because, yeah, he beat me at a catch weight, but will he beat me at 35? It's one of those questions that people are going to linger out and end up speaking on. Even some of them felt like I did. So it's like little small things that will make sense. So me versus Cody, definitely going to happen. But granted, am I going to call him out? Probably not. Don't need to, because I know that me calling out Dominic or Uriah, they have to say yes. If they don't say yes, they're going to give me Cody. It's just going to be one of those things. Like, hey, I took a loss, he took a loss, and me winning is going to end up, hey, let's get you back on the map where you could beat Andre. Boom, there you go. And that gives me a chance, and, small little things. And 9 times 10, it should be a pay-per-view fight because me and him should be a co-main. I don't care what people say. We should be at a co-main, which we almost had that opportunity on that last fight. If he would have waited an extra week, we would have been on the co-main event the following week. Instead of me fighting Chris, it would have been me versus Cody. That would have been a co-main event fight, and that would have been nice, But he wanted to stay on the card, and then, the luck happened. He didn't fight, so there you go.
And you're going to be fighting again in Vegas without fans. How do you feel about that? I mean, now especially because there are starting to be fights again with fans. What's your thought on that?
Well, I'm definitely hurt. Because the fans is back and I want to fight in front of the fans. Everybody knows that I'm people say that I always perform better with the fans, no matter how you end up looking at it. But I turn everything into a show/concert. So regardless of the situation, with them being there or not being there, I'm still going to end up making that happen. But I do know that even though their mindset is on not being fans, everything's like in California is opening it up in June. So they might just allow people in there as just be smaller fans, but people there will be able to be there to watch. So still get the excitement and the noise of wow and woo and ooh, stuff like that.
Yeah. I think they've been doing a like a little section of fans for like a contest you can win. So that's kind of fun. So there are some fans. It's just very, very small. Um, and then I wanted to ask you, I noticed on your Instagram you're doing like roller skating and tennis. Is that like a hobby or is that for training or what's can you tell me about that?
It's actually both. The tennis, granted that the tennis actually started with my cousin. He's really good at it, whatnot. And I told him that I only need a month to actually like learn things, and I'll end up getting the handle of it, and I'll start giving him competition. He didn't believe me, and so that was actually my second go. And last time I ended up playing tennis was like I'll say like 11, 12 years old. So from there that till now that, I'm getting a little bit better, but working on definitely my lateral movements. And roller skating, that is my favorite hobby in the world. It's one of my favorite go-tos. It's either bowling or that. And everybody knows, if you know me, that I love bowling and skating. It's one of the two. But the way I look at it is, let's be great at everything that you do or end up trying.
Are you gonna bring your roller skates to Vegas?
The funny thing is, I definitely am, because I brought them last time and I didn't get the chance to roll on them because, Chris like basically took my legs. So, but no, not that thing. Yeah, I'm definitely bringing my skates because I'm gonna definitely roll on them, and they already know how I am. I like I said, I am a very fun person. You're around me.
I was gonna say you got to roll into weigh-ins with your roller skates.
I would love to do that, but they'll probably say no to me because they're not now they're not Venom / or ain't Reeboks, so the shoe. So I'm at the ask Reebok to make me some rollerblades, because I did have cowboy boots and I put a sticker right up on it that said Reeboks, and they still denied me. It hurt my feelings, but in the future they still know they're supposed to make me some cowboy boots.
All right, well, we got to get on that for you. And my final question for you is your prediction for the fight.
My prediction for the fight, he knows that I'm coming. I'm seeing first round. First round, definitely. I'm getting back to my old ways, my old savage heart and going forward type movement. So it's going to be definitely exciting first round finish. And I'm calling it with my right hand.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Likewise.